What I think, awakening really involves is a re-examination of our common sense. Well, in a few years, it will be a matter of common sense to very many people that they're one with the universe. It'll be so simple. And then maybe, if that happens, we shall be in a position to handle our technology with more sense. With love instead of with hate for our environment.
The key to find God is intelligence. It's not obedience. It's not submission. It's not falling on your knees. What's wrong with you falling on your knees? Do you worship a God that wants you on your knees like slaves? The new religions are going to glorify intelligence because God wants us to be intelligent.
Now, in what I've been told is called in our language the realm of the absolute, such a contrasting field is not necessary, nor is it for that matter even possible, because the realm of the absolute is by definition absolutely what it is. Do you understand? And there is nothing else. And we call that God. In my language and in my utterances and in my form of expression, we call that God. In the beginning, there was all that is. And all that is all there was.
As we sit here talking, it could be to hear some of the words that have been spoken through the centuries, but you can find them in any book.
Right.
You can find them in all of the wonderful books. And there are people today, I call them popcorn. They're walking around just saying all these wonderful words of truth, but we're like computers. And there's people who do the work, come to experience, and they become much quieter than the teachers and begin to be the one that walks it and lives it. And that's where the power is.
So you're happy all the time? You're always content?
That's my experience.
Everything that's really worthwhile in life came to us free. Our minds, our souls, our bodies, our hopes, our dreams, our ambitions, our intelligence, our love of our families and children and friends. All these priceless possessions are free, but the things that cost us money are actually very cheap and can be replaced at any time. Universities tell us that most of us are operating on about 10% of our abilities. Decide now, what is it you want? Plant your goal in your mind. Give yourself direction and a destination. It's the most important decision you'll ever make in your life.
The weight of the world is love. Under the burden of solitude, under the burden of dissatisfaction, the weight we carry is love. But we carry the weight wearily, and so must rest in the arms of love at last. Must rest in the arms of love. No rest without love. No sleep without dreams of love. The warm bodies shine together in the darkness. The hand moves to the center of the flesh. The skin trembles in happiness, and the soul comes joyful to the eye. Yes, yes, that's what I wanted. I always wanted to return to the body where I was born.
This whole world is moving on momentum, and that is our #1 problem as a race. We're moving in the way that our ancestors have been moving, and no one ever just stops and goes, whoa, 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 let's just settle down and talk this over.
The anxieties of the world today and the stresses of the world today are actually based on their true voice trying to make a re-emergence.
But when you really start questioning this, say, is that the way I have to assume life is? I know everybody does, but does that make it true? It doesn't necessarily. It ain't necessarily so. And so then as you question this basic assumption that underlies our culture, you find you get a new kind of common sense. It becomes absolutely obvious to you that you are continuous with the universe.
No one can assume responsibility for how you choose to use your energy. But a non-physical teacher can help you to see the symbolism of everything that happens in your life at each moment.
When we come to our social and political situation, we see that most of the problems that we have in the world today come from the fact that we see things in a fragmented way, that we are unable to focus on the relationships among things. So we have to learn to shift from a perception of objects to a perception of relationship.
Now, we are in the most significant evolutionary transition our species has ever encountered. There is no way to compare what we are now experiencing with anything in our past. This new event has no historical antecedent.
When the Earth completes its evolution, we are then at the level of a unity with a voice of unity that allows us to speak as a one, which will allow us to speak with other ones.
When we're born, we wonder what's out there. We begin to wonder about the sun, life, the stars, what makes the oceans, the weather. We're born scientists.
Because they're just balls of potential.
Victims. The victims of a system that really doesn't care.
There isn't any way to punish a large number of deviants. There isn't any way to do that. It's too expensive to even try to do it unless you can colonize the minds of children growing up so they become their own police.
Two of the most important things we have learned is that mothers are the best teachers in the world, and that tiny children are the best students in the world.
It's vitally important in education that the brain is allowed to develop holistically in a balanced way, and that requires not just exposure to isolated facts of knowledge and specific avenues of specialization, but regular expansion to experience our global reality, our cosmic reality.
If I want to get to some new ability, to some new place that I've never been to before, I am the biggest single obstacle in my way. And if I am able to overcome myself and pull myself up to that next level, then I have won and I have been victorious.
It's all about you waking up and discovering who you are, that you really are source, whatever you want to, however you want to term it, God. However, ultimately you are the consciousness that supports all of creation. So you don't remember any of that, because every time you die and you come back through, your memory gets pretty much wiped.
We live in a world of cycles. We live in a cyclic universe. Cycles within cycles within cycles. Nested cycles of time and experience.
Then when you wake up one day about 40 years old, you say, my God, I've arrived. I'm there. And you don't feel very different from what you always felt. And there's a slight letdown because you feel there's a hoax. And there was a hoax. A dreadful hoax. They made you miss everything. We thought of life by analogy with a journey, with a pilgrimage, which had a serious purpose at the end, and the thing was to get to that end, success or whatever it is, or maybe heaven after you're dead. But we missed the point the whole way along. It was a musical thing, and you were supposed to sing or to dance while the music was being played.